Hey guys, Songboy13, got a new video out for you tonight, or today, whatever time you're watching this. Now I actually did the filming earlier that day, 27th November, however, unfortunately, I've lost track of time doing it and had to reset doing this evening. It's about the global warming this evening. As we know, we've had an update from the Met Office to say that with the climate change in the UK, we will see a huge increase in our average summer and winter temperature, but what will affect on the weather, we're going to find out. The storm has now arrived. So, climate change to make UK summers more than 5 degrees hotter by 2070, the Met Office warned. So, latest projections predict that summer rainfall will fall by almost half, while sea levels swallow large expanses of coastline. How hot could it be in 50-60 years' time in the summer? There has been estimates from the Met Office that we could see, on average, of a summer temperature 5.4 degrees higher than what it is right now. Despite we've had a record-breaking summer this year, generally on the average 5.4 degrees hotter higher in the summer. In the winter months, still will be a lot warmer, so we could see a more noticeable absence of snow, which is, I guess, is a good thing. It'll, on average, for winter average temperature, 4.2 degrees higher in 2070, and it could be 45% higher in the winter. Sea level rise in London, for example, could be up to a metre higher by the time we get to the end of the century, beginning of a new one, in the year 2100. Do you believe me or not? Comment below, what do you think? So extreme heat waves will scorch the UK as rising sea levels will swallow large expanses of the coastline within just a few decades, experts have warned. So as we know, in the first major analysis of the nation's changing climate for nearly a decade, government and Met Office scientists concluded that summer temperatures could shoot up by 5.4 degrees by the year 2070 if fossil fuel pollution is not slashed. And also, winters, as I mentioned, will also be considerably hotter, with average temperatures increasing by up to 4.2 degrees Celsius. The scientists outlined in a far more extreme version of Britain's climate, in which this year's weeks-long heatwave becomes the norm, while winter rainfall increases by more than a third. Flooding will also be a major issue at sea levels across the country, and coastal communities will have to adapt rapidly or even abandon homes to the rising tides. So, sea levels affecting London could rise by up to just over a metre by 2100 if climate warning emissions continue to climb. Even if emissions are cut in line with the Paris Climate Agreement to curb temperature rises to well below 2 degrees above pre-industrial levels, sea levels could still be up to 70 centimetres higher in the capital by 2100. The scientists also predicted significant sea level rise in other major cities, with Edinburgh, Cardiff and Belfast all facing water rises of over 90 centimetres if greenhouse gas emissions continue unabated. Even if the world manages to curb emissions in line with the Paris Agreement, the UK's average yearly temperature could be up to 2.3 degrees higher by 2100. Launching a new report at London's Science Museum, Environment Secretary Michael Gove said no one could predict the future with absolute certainty. However, in his first major speech on climate change, Mr. Gove, who famously claimed the public has had enough of experts in relation to Brexit, backed the scientists behind the projections. So in producing this first major update of climate projections for nearly 10 years, they have given governments, local authorities, land managers, natural infrastructure bodies and other businesses an invaluable set of tools with which to assess the nature and scale of challenges and take decisions accordingly, he said. Liz Parks, the Environment Agency's Deputy Director for Climate Change, said the report reinforced the idea that there are fewer places to hide for policymakers working on global warming related issues. The Environment Secretary said the UK was already feeling climate-related extremes, including record wet winters, flooding, and this year's heatwave, which was linked to devastating wildfires. By the way, that's not in the UK, as you know, that's in California. Mr. Gove told the audience at the launch event at the Science Museum that officials were already factoring projected sea level rises into planning for flooding. He also noted a new long-term approach would be needed on dealing with flooding, warning it will not always be possible to prevent every flood. We cannot build defences to protect every single building or reinforce every retreating coastline. To tackle droughts, he said new policies would help drive the construction of new water infrastructure such as reservoirs. So I can't pronounce that. Farmers will receive payments to tackle climate change, and there will be new strategies to repair peatland, protect and create woodlands, and tackle emissions from food waste. Mr. Gove also announced that overseas the UK will donate £13 million to restoring coastal mangroves in places like Jamaica and Colombia. The new UK Climate Projections Report is meant to guide the country's efforts to curb and adapt to global warming, but environmental groups warned that many of the government's own policies were undermining such plans. Climate change will have a devastating impact on the UK, with more extreme weather, rising sea levels, and scorching summers potentially. So why isn't the government doing far more to tackle the crisis, said Friends of the Earth climate campaigner Emmy Murphy. With its relentless pursuit of fracking, airport expansion and road building, and lukewarm support for renewable energy, the government is failing to face up to the threat of catastrophe climate breakdown. The projections were launched on the 10th anniversary of the UK's Climate Change Act. This groundbreaking strategy, which commits the country to cutting greenhouse gas emissions by 80% by 2050, has since been imitated by other nations from Sweden to New Zealand. However, given the severity of the climate change warnings that have emerged in recent years, and particularly the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change's latest reports, experts have called for even tougher commitments from the UK. Government climate advisors are currently examining what measures would be needed to ensure emissions are cut by effectively 100%, bringing them to net zero by the middle of the century. So that's about it for this video. Do you think the UK will be facing hotter summers, wetter winters, rising sea levels, more extreme flooding, etc, etc, etc? Well then, we'll have to see what the next few years awaits. Even next year's weather, some of us got a feeling it's going to be even more extreme. Or would it? We'll find out for sure. Alright, I'll keep you updated. Like, comment, subscribe for more videos. UK Weekly Weather will be up tomorrow. Nothing too unusual about this week. It's wet and windy. Of course it is. It's that time of year. And even today I was chucking it down. Anyways, that's about it. I'll see you soon, guys. More videos to come soon. Storm is now out.